All right, today we're going to be talking about amplitudes, periods, and cycles. This is kind of a introduction to graphing sine and cosine, especially after yesterday's linguini activity. So the first thing is just want to write these definitions down. You can pause it and write them down, and then just play it whenever you're ready. Amplitude is a distance from the axis to a high point or the low point. So I'm going to use these two graphs as an example. So this right here, that's your amplitude, or from here down, that's your amplitude. The cycle is where the point of the graph starts to repeat again. So like this whole thing is one cycle. And so after this point, it would repeat again. So that's another cycle, so on and so forth. Sine and cosine are periodic. So that means it just keeps going and going and going and repeating and repeating and repeating. And so period is the length of time or degrees or radians that it takes to complete a cycle. So the period would be 360 degrees for this one, or the period would be 2 pi for this one. That's how long it takes for sine and cosine to go through one complete cycle. Here I have the two graphs, sine of theta and cosine of theta. I have the sine one in degrees, cosine in radians. It doesn't matter. The sine one could have been in radians, cosine could have been in degrees. I'm just showing you the different variety of what the graph could look like, especially for tonight's homework. The amplitude is 1 on both of them. The only real difference is that sine starts at 0, 0, and here the y-intercept is 1 for cosine. That's the main difference. If I were to move sine over to the left by a factor of 90 degrees or pi over 2, move this whole thing, if you can imagine moving this in your brain over, then it would look exactly the same, just like cosine. And then vice versa, if I move cosine pi over 2 to the right or 90 degrees to the right, it would look exactly the same as sine. The last thing is on your homework tonight, you got a couple of examples here. So I want to do one like this: y equals 4 sine of 60, or sorry, 4 sine of 6 theta. My bad. The first thing is the amplitude. The amplitude is that positive number or negative, but for tonight I'm pretty sure it's all positive out in front. And so that tells us how big our amplitude is. So our amplitude, and I'll pick a different color so we can see, is 4. So my highest number is 4, my lowest number is -4. The second thing is that tonight we'll say whether it's radians or degrees, but this one's we're going to do with degrees. So I'm going to take 6, by the way, amplitude is 4, sorry. 6, I'm going to do 360 over that number 6. If it was in radians, we're going to do 2 pi over whatever that is. So like on tonight's homework, you have 2 pi, and then this number is like pi over 4. So you're going to do 2 pi over 4, and then do your PEMDAS there. But anyway, we'll go back to this problem. So 360 over 6 is 60 degrees. Okay, so that's telling me that it's going to take 60 degrees to go through one cycle, which means through 2 cycles, because we're doing 2 different cycles, will be 120 degrees. So the period is 60 degrees. Well, that means that halfway is 30 degrees. And so if we were to look up here, halfway is 180, so that's how I got 30. I just cut that in half, 30. It also means that a quarter of the way is 15, and then 3/4 of the way is 45 degrees. Now, since we're doing sine, sine starts down here. Then for 15 degrees, it's going to be up there, 30 degrees down here, 45 down here, and 60 up again. So then I have my pretty sinusoidal picture there. I missed my point there, but there we go. So I got one full cycle down. So now if I want to get my other cycle, do the same thing. I'm going to go up by 15 degrees. And it's going to look exactly the same. And you learned this from yesterday, hopefully. Boom. And that's pretty much it. The one difference with cosine is that cosine is going to start there. So on your graphs tonight for cosine, be sure you start there. And then it's going to look, exactly the same. That would be one period worth, and then you got to do 2. So the another one would look like that or whatever. That's today. Let me know if you got any questions. See ya.